Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of the Humble Climb podcast. Thanks for tuning in to obviously last eps with Danielle Webber, an incredible story, obviously where she started from that little Jimmy in Oakleigh East to where she is now. Continue to like, comment, subscribe. That's how we continue to grow. Today's episodes is probably one bit closer to the heart, but they're two of the most influential men that are behind my semi-success, I guess. Not that I've got that much, but my semi-success and where we started. There's a lot of alpha male in this room. There's a hell of a lot of testosterone, and there's two of the biggest alphas in Melbourne, probably in within the real estate industry for sure. But a massive, massive welcome to first Chris Hassall and Peter Gigis. Boys, welcome to the Humble Climb.
Thanks for having us.
And thanks very much for coming through.
Thanks for having me, big boy.
We're really looking forward to obviously starting and getting into where their journeys are and where they started and where they're at now. To give you guys a little bit of an update and a background as to these two, I actually started off under Chris, so he's one of the directors of BUXTON Bentleigh and also involved with BUXTON Corporate. And I started off under him as his PA, running around getting his dry cleaning and looking after his kids. And now I've moved on to Pete a couple of years later, and I'm now running around doing the same thing. In fact, last night I was genuinely on Valentine's Day having dinner with Pete's kids. So, and that is no word of a lie. So Pete could go out. So, and Peter Gigis, obviously my current, so to speak, boss, current director of BUXTON Oakleigh, Ashburton, Mount Waverley, Camberwell. So both incredible, influential people in my life and a lot of ours. And we all know their story at Buxton, but I think what they've done is amazing for where they've been. So, boys, I can't thank you enough. The listeners are excited. I'm excited. Brados is excited. We're ready to hit the ground running. I'm going to go deep in a little bit as to where we are. Obviously, Gigi, you started your real estate coming from Blockbuster Video. Correct, was really your chance. And Chris, you were a really good receptionist.
I was.
So it's an incredible little start as to where you guys started and where you've ended up and climbed those ranks, which is all that the Humble Climb is about. Yep. I'll start it off sort of to both of you, if you don't mind. Finishing year 12, or HSC probably in your day because it's VCE now.
What's that?
No, it's VCE. It's definitely VCE.
You guys
we're not that old.
My hearing's going, mate.
Yeah, I thought so, mate. So finishing year 12, did you think that you were going to get straight into real estate?
Well, I'll probably go first. Mate, to be honest, finish year 12 and I probably wasn't the most intelligent person out there. Probably couldn't read, write, and still can't do the same anyway. So,
ingenuine. Do you know how many emails I have to write for him or proofread?
Thank God for IT and autocorrect spelling, which is great. Fantastic about the technology that we got. But came out of VCE and didn't know what I want to do in life. Like, obviously as a kid, where first job I got was working at Sidetrack. Everyone knows Sidetrack Entertainment Centre. Got into go-karting and motor racing. Just been knocked down as well, unfortunately. Yeah, which is sad. Just been knocked down. Didn't know what I wanted to do, and eventually became a video clerk. From video clerk, obviously worked at Mount Waverley under Blockbuster, ran. Being a store manager there and got to know the likes of the real estate office across the road, which was Michael Bivian at the time. Yeah, and Stockies, which is Stockdown Lego at the time. And, I pretty much, watching his fancy cars, walking, he's coming in with his fancy suits and ties and, mate, this looks pretty easy. Yeah. It's like the life, So I pretty much just said, mate, what do we need to do to get in real estate? You just said, go and do your, what was it back then, 7-week course at Box Hill TAFE, I think.
Did you both start at the same time? Roughly?
Yeah,
pretty much similar time.
Yeah, so same era.
Yeah, same era. Just a few years older.
Yeah, okay.
A few grey hairs. So.
Yeah, how does he have greys and you don't?
I'm getting there. Yeah. I'm getting there. They're coming.
Yeah. You still colouring?
No.
But yeah, that's, pretty much a game changer for me. Got into it and, started in 2002 and haven't looked back, to be honest. So
and still going ever since. And Chris, yourself, obviously, you were really good on reception, obviously, there's no doubt.
I was great.
Yeah, obviously Saturday was awesome as well.
Saturday reception. Yeah. It's my fallback position if it doesn't work out.
Do you still sort of, from time to time if the phones are ringing, you just want to pick it up?
I jump in the seat. I jump in the hot seat and I've still got it.
I love it, mate. But you finishing year 12, so did you always around Oakleigh East area?
Pretty much grew up in Clayton, Oakleigh South. And, moved to Oakleigh East.
And you were an Ormond boy?
Ormond boy, yeah. Grew up around Bentley Ormond and representing the old boys.
So Brighton Sec?
Went to Brighton Sec.
Yeah.
Didn't take school that serious. Probably, public school, that's how it was, wasn't it, really?
Same, yeah.
And luck involved for me, sitting on the couch. My mate at the time I was living with, sister said, you two lazy guys, you got to get off the couch. He was a gun cricketer, so he had it sorted, but I didn't. So she got me a Saturday reception job. And then I said, maybe I'll do a little bit more, and got a PA job. And hated my first year. I was working for someone that just probably didn't have as much interest in developing me. So I could have easily gotten out of it. I was driving down Centre Road, went into an open and met Willow by dumb luck, and then bang, here we are 20 years later, business partner.
And Willow, for those listening, is a really good friend of all of ours, Craig Williamson. So he's currently he's obviously the director of BUXTON Bentleigh and non-BUXTON Corporate as well. Craig Williamson, he's a really awesome sounding board to be. I know even for myself, he's been fantastic. So shout out to Willow as well. So two public school boys, realistically, that are coming up from the system. They're not sure what they're doing. Obviously, one's playing with go-karts and the other one's picking up phones on a Saturday. I just think realistic, and that's probably why I find the story so amazing, because I find it influential and it gives me a lot of drive realistically. Like, fuck, if these guys can still do it realistically and they've done it, well, anyone can. I'm still proofreading Gigis' emails. Chris has got people taking his voicemails. And I remember when I was working with Chris, I was like, Dim, can you do my voicemails? And it was the worst system that I ever had. It was just simple, very simple. Listen to the voicemails, write down on a piece of paper and give them to Chris like that. There was nothing fancy about our system, which is amazing. Yeah. And I guess for me, and that's the big thing why I wanted to really get you guys on board, because obviously you've been a massive part of my journey. But for a lot of people, you're both always getting calls. You were in the office yesterday, I saw, giving almost career advice to one of our staff members. Yeah. You're always getting it because everyone wants a piece, realistically as well. You're two very different people. One's, I guess, more social media driven than probably the other. Which I still do also Gigis' posts as well from time to time as well, which I absolutely love. So these guys are just absolutely amazing, and they're so different, and that's why their success is just blistering. For the listeners, I guess, and getting into you guys, you start as a receptionist. Did you think realistically, Chris, you would sort of start to take real estate seriously, or were you just sort of doing it for the fun of things?
Yeah, definitely didn't have any direction, didn't have any initiative. Like I was really just a young kid. Okay, it's in front of me, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So no real drive. I could have easily gotten out of it.
Yeah, I love that. And Gig for yourself as well.
Much similar story to Chris. Got into it, no balance, didn't know what I was really doing, and we had to door knock and stuff like that. Yeah. Just really played on your mind a bit.
I don't door knock too much because it gives me chafing.
But how many times I almost gave up, to be honest.
Yeah.
A lot of times I was thinking maybe I should just go back to being, the video clerk back at Blockbuster. So, so took time.
Can you just quickly say the story that you told me the other day was it the cutout of the rock?
Oh, yeah. So this is a funny story. So we always used to get those cardboard printouts. One standee. Okay, the rock, this looks cool. I'm going to take this at home and put it in my bedroom. And I remember one morning at about 3 a.m., fuck, did I jump out of bed, man? I thought someone was in my room trying to kill me. So, next morning.
So funny.
Yeah, the next morning, they had to go. So
I love that. Starting off, I guess, in real estate wise, like when I first started, I can only bring it back to myself. I obviously got into it through Sam Maley, who we all know really well, who's a really good friend of mine and was ours, but was also a friend outside of real estate. And I used to see this guy driving around in changing his cars probably every 2 years. And I was like, man, what's this guy do for work? This guy's got a cool job. Was real estate very different then for you guys? Was that one of the main attractions, that obviously the financial aspect was one of that key to freedom, I guess, for moving on to where you guys are at now? Is that one of the main driving factors as to why you got into it?
Oh, I don't think really we knew about the money side of it. We had no idea personally back then.
Because what were commissions when you guys started?
Pretty much,
realistically.
Well, the commissions are pretty much the same. So, you're charging anywhere between let's say circa 2%. But back then when I got into real estate, it was sale prices, mid 200s, 300.
You're
still charging 2%?
Generally, give or take.
And your advertising back then?
Sorry? Our advertising was different. We didn't have the internet back then when we first started out. It was all got to do with the local leader. We call it the Waverley Gazette back then. So it was all about getting ads in there, and obviously the Domain paper on Saturdays was our attraction to put an open for inspection times there. So, look, a lot of the young folks that are getting into real estate now are very lucky because they've got the internet. Back then, we didn't have the internet. We just used to put the open for inspection boards on the corner of the streets, on the main roads leading to the property. And, you know, properties weren't advertised back then, and we're just praying for people just to rock up.
Yeah.
You know, so
I love that.
We'd take photos of houses at the front, send it to someone that would then have to sketch a picture to then put it in the age.
I've actually seen, I'll be honest, Andrew Chisholm showed me one of them. He's like, mate, this is how we did it in our day.
Old school, yeah.
I love that. And that's the, I guess, the thing for me, because the start of the journey as to where you guys started and obviously where you are now, and it's something that we'll get into because we've had so many dinners, the three of us, and we've hung out at nice places, which is awesome. And a lot of the times I just keep on forgetting to bring my wallet, so it sucks. But it's really good. I think the last one you guys went half, which is amazing for me. So shout out to Rockpool, thank you. And I think that's probably the biggest part in your journey. You're sort of obviously learning off Willow, and you're learning off Biv, who we're still doing work with today. Biv Corp, who are doing amazing developments. Gisborne, Oakleigh East, you name it, Queensland, they're doing amazing developments there, and they've been awesome as well. Support for us as not just clients but friends. You're obviously working under Willow, and Willow's got huge success in real estate and starting to get a real track on things. When did you sort of start to think to yourself, like shit, like I'm actually not bad at this job? Probably something for both of you to yeah, we asked real hard hitting questions here at the Hub.
Probably the best answer I can give you then was, you know, got into it 2002, and it wasn't probably about 2007. 2008 is when, you know, I started seeing the potential of what I've got. And a lot of that had to do with the people that I was hanging around with. Yeah. So I had a lot of friends that were great, you know, obviously Paul like me, and then I had a couple of friends that, you know, had the BMW convertibles, that had their properties, had their investments. They're like, well,
yeah,
how do we get to that level? Yeah. So I think that was a bit of a mind changer for me, and say, well, if these boys came from nothing and obviously, you know, got what they've got, I'm sure I can do it as well. And it just, you know, it's just a matter of like spending time with people like them, you know, just to see at work what they do. Yeah. So we're great mates, but when it came to work, it was like, mate, piss off. I'm on the phone.
Yeah, I'm working.
Yeah, so I'll see you at lunch. So it was a lot of that. So hung around with people like that, and then just put my mind to it, to be honest. So yeah,
I love that, and it's something that you're still big on with a lot of us. I can speak from our office anyway. Like if the phone's not ringing, like the one of us will say like a pretty funny comment, like, "Oh, it's generally me," like, "Oh, we've run out of credit" or something. Like, you know what I mean? And it's good just to keep that motivation going. Yourself, Chris, when did you sort of think into your journey of real estate? I know, well, you've both been doing it for say circa 20 now. When did you sort of think that? What was the light bulb moment that you thought, okay, like I can actually make something out of this?
Probably that, you know, you get those awards along the way, the recognition of a salesperson award, which gives you some confidence. But I probably didn't have a lot of confidence as a kid, or, you know, getting into real estate. And even now I'm not comfortable. You know, I'm always feeling like I haven't achieved what I want, or, you know, I still have to work. It's not just set now. It's not like a finish line. So it's a blessing and a curse in the industry, because you're never finished. It's there's always another listing. And
I reckon one of the best things that I remember when I was having dinner at your place once, and someone
was I there?
Yeah, 100. I think one. Yeah, no, you were. And your partner Sarah, obviously, who's an absolute champ, she said something like, "Oh, Chris, you know Furbank," and then you turned around and said, "Well, I haven't done too bad for a kid from Brighton Circ."
That's right.
Which I absolutely love, and it's those types of little comments which stayed with you, and that for me was like a bit of a light bulb moment. That it was a funny joke, but it was like a light bulb moment as to like, oh shit, like, no matter what your path is in life, no matter what cards you've been dealt, no matter what the age is, you can genuinely change the trajectory of your life. Yeah. Which I find that, like, I'm entrenched with that stuff. I love it. That's the stuff that gets me excited, like e.g. you guys, and the other big thing is as well that you both say, funnily enough, it's like you guys are friends or something, which is like success leaves clues.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Which is, I think realistically, just one of the most amazing things. Like I've been lucky, obviously, to start under you for 2 years, then move on to Gigi for 2 years. And I saw like all my business today is all based around what you guys did and what you guys say and the training that you guys did, which helped me amazingly. You see a lot of these kids and you guys get a lot of resumes now that continue to come into your door, and you're an 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kid coming into real estate. What's the one piece of advice, and I know you get asked this all the time, but what's the one piece of advice that you either say to them, or two, what are you looking for in that particular person?
Yeah, I think hard work beats skill. So you could have someone that, talks the talk and, they know what to do, but actually the application of doing is a big thing with everything, diet, or anything in life really. You got to sort of be working hard, and the sacrifice, a lot of, I gave up footy, cricket, a lot, mate, every Saturday for the last 21 years I freaking worked. Yeah. And it used to, for the first 10 years, it was Sundays as well. So you've got to, if you want it enough, you'll make those sacrifices, but not every, maybe it's not for everyone.
You sort of can't go half in, can you?
Well, you can, but the results will reflect that.
Yeah.
Everyone has their level of what they want to achieve. So that's okay. If you go into it, wanting a little bit out, you'll get a little bit out.
That's sort of what happened with me with a lot of my footy stuff. Like I could have obviously kept going.
You're still getting calls?
I'd probably be in a very different location. Like, you know what happened? Like, under 15s, I'll never forget, I played Murrumbeena Football Club, Kangaroo Park, like getting eaten in the back. And that's where a lot of the weight came from. Obviously, unfortunately, weight's very easy to put on, but very hard to lose. Anyway, that's just off topic, guys. But as you can sense from the type of human, and these guys are used to it, that I'm always whipping out. Gigi, for yourself, and one of the things that I love that you always tell me is the person that comes to the door with dressed up in a suit, like with their resume ready to go, and that they're pounding the phones afterwards. Can I just give me an opportunity? You're generally the ones to give them a shot.
Yeah, well, generally, because our industry is, obviously the phone, and obviously meeting face-to-face people and getting out there and knocking on doors and all that. Now, obviously there's all these emails that come through, have you got a job? Have you got a job? Here's my resume. And there's no follow-up calls or anything like that. But, there's generally maybe one a year that would actually come into the office, door knock, and, pretty much just knock on our doors and say, look, I'm looking for work. What have you got? They're the ones that I'm impressed with. But, look, don't get me wrong. Out of 10 that have rocked up, probably 2 have made it.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand.
Am I one of them? Or?
You're pretty much Hamble to me.
Hot potato.
So yeah, it's just
like to think it's a pretty good handle, to be honest.
But you're right, Gigs. Like, it's a bit of luck involved. Like, you could be a kid that has all the potential, but then there's not a job opening at the time. And I think having mentors around you to give you advice. I remember I was applying for a job, and my best mate Muzz at the time's dad he was in sales work for Boral, and he's like, mate, you've got to follow up and call. And I was really nervous to follow up after the interview, but it was good advice. They were saying, well, we were waiting for you to call. If you hadn't have called, you wouldn't have got the job. So having people around you that can give you their little nuggets of gold, that certainly helps. Kids don't know the process. They need to be taught.
Do you think hard work, and this is probably something that I guess I'm lucky to have in some ways, but do you think hard work or having that will to drive and having some sort of confidence in yourself, is that something that you can train, or is it something you've either got it or you don't?
I think you can train it.
You can definitely train it. It's just in how you can mentally handle the rejection side of our business as well. Unfortunately, you meet owners that want to sell the home, and you're a 22-year-old and they love you, but then at the end of the day, it's like, well, I don't really want to give my property to a little kid to sell. He's got no experience, and that could be heartbreaking as a kid. Yeah. So hearing that kind of rejection side of it,
so similar.
And I think, well, I was going to say, best analogy I can give you, Dimmy. What do? Do you give up and go home, or do you go, get a drink and go to the next school? That's probably the best example I can give you. So you just got to keep going. And it took me actually a long time to actually develop that side of it.
Because you were, or weren't, like you weren't as, you're not.
I was definitely not confident.
But you had the cheeky side.
No, I was cheeky, but at the same time, and I wasn't a popular boy at high school and stuff like that. I was always nervous talking to girls. Still am a little bit. So I don't know. Have you changed? I'm pretty much the same thing.
Shocking.
But it just takes time to develop, and I think a lot of it, like I said, it's got to do with hanging around with influential people.
Half of the thing is getting into podcasts. Like, you got me onto podcast because you would always drill into me, like, have you, you're almost like your ideal week, where I remember we always used to say that, have your ideal week, whether it be exercise or, you've got to have exercise, get some podcasts, get some good things into your habit, train those good habits from nice and early. And that's what led me into podcasts, which is where we are today at the Humble Climb. So,
are you recording this?
Yeah, this is actually like going live, man.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, so this is massive. So it's really awesome. Like, for yourself, Gigi, I know obviously Hass is a big podcast man and not that much of a news reader and all that type of stuff. What's your, like, do you have something like that sort of is the pump up, or for you, is it more the traditional pump up music that really gets you through?
Obviously got the pump up music, it's one big thing. Like, I know you don't like to watch the news. I actually enjoy watching the news, believe it or not. Like, I like to know what's going on in the world.
Yeah, it's why I love it, because there's two different people that are both, in my opinion,
you can actually use that information for your work. That's, I use the information every day for the work that I do. So, I like to know what, especially how much the euro is worth today, like obviously.
I love that.
That's watching the finance sector is one of the biggest key aspects for me. So, look, I'm not a big reader. Yeah. Never been, obviously never really jumped onto the podcast and watched anything like that,
Obviously, Till the Humble Climb came on.
Correct. Yeah, Till the Humble Climb came on. We'll get onto that. But, what do I love? Look, I always have, one of my hobbies that I do is obviously I do motor racing, go-karting a lot, hang around with, great drivers out there. I have had the pleasure of meeting, the Piastri family back then as well, and obviously the Petronis and James Serras, and they're big names in the motor industry, and obviously seeing like a young boy like Oscar now that I remember Oscar Piastri is actually going in Formula One this year. Just seeing that little talent, winning.
So have you just given us a little golden nugget?
No,
really? I'm saying in a good way that you used to race with that. No, and this is serious. That Oscar Piastri, the McLaren F1 driver that's going in, was a teammate of yours, correct?
Correct. Back in the day, yes.
We'll make sure we get that as a little social clip, Braden, because that's a big nugget.
But that's obviously thanks to James Serra, of course, and there's obviously Mario Petroni that I've had the pleasure of meeting as well. So, but it's not just that. Like, I'm not bragging about that, but just I love racing, and for me, I'm an old boy, and I started racing with the old boys, and I love winning. There's no question about it, and I think that's what drives me. Winning on the track and then coming to work is my motivation to win at work as well. So look, don't get me wrong. There's times where you can settle for second place and third place, and you get the trophy, but still, it's not that that winning feeling. So there was no better feeling this year. We went to Mykonos, and we came back straight from Mykonos, and I went straight to the racetrack that Friday morning. And just
that's awesome.
Just winning. Like everyone was practicing over that weekend. I had no chance to practice, and I was jet lagged. So I think for me, it's just doing that on the side, and I bring that energy that I learned from racing into my workplace.
It's funny. I've always found that realistically, your best people that judge your character of people the best are generally your family, right? Yep. And obviously, you both know my story, my background, but my mum and sister pretty well as well. And they're always, Hass and Gig, amazing people. What continues to keep you guys so humble as to where you're at? Because I know, not just as a friend, but as a person, that I can pick up the phone and be like, guys, I've got a problem, or I need this. And you've both seen me cry, you've seen me laugh, you've seen me do everything. And which is amazing. You've both made me cry, actually. So there you go. Realistically, what's that one thing? Like, for me, that you guys have never had that arrogance. You never had that cocksure of yourselves. You've always been approachable. Throughout your journey and where you guys are at today, what's that one thing that continues to keep you humble?
Probably my grandma, good upbringing, manners. And I heard something the other day that, a guy goes out with a girl and he's trying to impress the girl and being all nice to her, and then super rude to the waiter. It's sort of like that just always being polite to everyone, no matter who they are. And it's probably just, for me, it's probably an upbringing.
Yeah, I love that.
And I don't want to target on my back, because as soon as you put yourself out there as this and that, then people love to see people crash and fail as well.
So true, isn't it?
And the last thing for me is probably I'm a big karma person. So, if you're putting good juju out there the whole time, something goes wrong where you didn't bring it upon yourself. Correct. And, then if I needed something, I know I could call you and you drop everything you're doing to help me. Yeah. So you're just creating that ideal existence, I guess.
I love that. And you, Gigi?
Hey, it's how do you want to be treated?
Yeah, I love
really.
That.
So, if someone's talking down to you, like, do you need to go to that person and talk down to them? Like, no, I think, like I said, go back to high school, like I wasn't a popular person, but you know, at the end of the day, did I get picked on a little bit and stuff like that? I wasn't really bullied, but there was always that one or two students that, you know, obviously picked on you a little bit. But the funny story is, like, you know, now we're best mates. You know, now they give me business to sell, you know, so they picked on me, but I'll make money off them now. Yeah. So that's probably the best way to explain it.
The best, Gigi. That's why I love you.
So
checkmate.
No, just be so respectful. True. Like, you know, if you want to be treated right, you got to be, you know.
From your career perspective, what was the biggest risk? When was the biggest time that you took a risk realistically that you really thought, like, I'm not sure if I can do this, but I'm going to take a chance?
It would have been back in 2011, to be honest. So that's when we, you know, obviously left the company I was, and this, you know, obviously with this guy's help a little bit, just said, yep, let's open up an office here, and, you know, let's join the BUXTON group and let's open up an office in Oakleigh, and obviously the office in Ashburton, obviously with, you know, my current partner, Chris Constantino. So it's just obviously, you know, having that financial side of it behind you. I didn't.
Can you go into that for me for a little bit? Because this is one of the things that I love this. For me, I find it super inspiring.
Okay, so my first home that I bought was in Danny North. So obviously bought it for like 260, and, you know, a few years later it was probably worth about 350. But obviously you need X amount of money to open up an office and have the financial backings.
Yeah.
I didn't have it. So unfortunately, the bank said, yeah, we'll give you the money, but you need a guarantor. I'm like, geez, yeah. So I had to make that, you know, obviously that visit to my parents, and asked my dad, you know, do you mind just going as a guarantor for me? So, which pretty much is signed, you know, didn't even hesitate, to be honest, mate. So that's one reason why I like taking him to Greece with me every year. Sign the papers. What was it? Yeah.
Pete's parents are the only elderlies that you'll ever see in Mykonos and staying at the Meconian.
That's it.
That's the best.
Yeah, but obviously just, you know, my dad putting pen and paper, and you know, it was probably took about 4 years to actually go. And, you know, by the time we sold that house in Danny North, obviously it was awesome to go to my dad and just say, Dad, pretty much, I don't need you as a guarantor anymore. So can you sign this document? We'll take you off the deed, really. So that was good.
So without Costa, we're fucked.
Oh, pretty much. Well, it's not just Costa, but, you know, obviously, like I said, the partners that I teamed up with, you know, obviously have helped me to the journey. Obviously, you know, if it wasn't for Chris and making that initial call to Gavin Fallon at the time, and, you know, Gavin reached out to me, and that wouldn't have happened because of this guy either. Yeah. So I didn't even know who Gavin Fallon was, to be honest. So,
yeah.
But yeah, just having this guy making that call and, you know, having that initial meeting, it's just, yeah.
So you're obviously, we're talking 2011, so you're obviously starting to make waves in the real estate industry as well. Well, you both are, because you're starting to do your own thing.
Yep.
You're trying to now, you're the recruiter as well, realistically.
I think it was around the same time we became directors, yeah.
Would have been. Yeah.
And yourself, because I mean, I know the story from you in the background that, again, I find inspiring. Like, it's funny, when, you know, guys don't think I'm listening, I'm actually taking a lot of stuff in. That story that you just said was always remained with me. The other one for you has always been, you bought your first property as a 1-bedroom apartment, and you just slowly worked your way up to, so for me, that was one of the reasons behind buying my first bedroom. When I bought a 1-bedroom apartment, because I'm like, well, Hass did. And look at him now. So fuck it, I'm on the same right, legit. And it's so funny, but it's actually legit. Yourself, was there a point that you thought, okay, I'm taking a bit of a risk here?
I'm probably not a risk person. Yeah. Coming from humble beginnings, I'm probably more conservative, mate. So I haven't got a really good story. I think I've grown into most of the roles, and things have taken a little bit more time. I could have been a bit more aggressive.
So it was a bit like when it was time to be a director, as an example. You did it when the time was right and you had the funds.
Yeah, if it sounds, and it sounds wanky, but it's probably, I've listened to too many podcasts where I don't see much things as a risk. I see it more as an opportunity, and that I'm in control of the opportunity. And if it's not going to work out, it's because of my lack of input. And it sounds wanky, but I won't ever risk the house on something, obviously. And, you know, family and kids comes first. But I don't know, as a young kid buying in, you're getting people telling you don't do it, you shouldn't do it. And you get people saying do it. And I went one way instead of the other. But no, yeah.
Well, in itself, though, for both of you, realistically, like you were driven to do your own thing, which is where you started with BUXTON, because there was no BUXTON in Oakleigh beforehand. Before you, was there?
Yeah.
But realistically, from that risk of, and I guess I call it a risk of you buying into where you did buy in, do you think you'd be where you are today if you didn't buy in?
No, I don't, because I see the Buxton group as a bit of a bit of a family friendship. Like, man, I go overseas with you guys, like you're friends. So if I had moved, would I have the same relationships? Probably not. Yeah. And I'd put those things in front of any money or anything else financially that I could have been. I
think that's the biggest thing that's probably coming from both of you guys, the way you guys both run your offices. Is obviously you do training every single Tuesday that you make available to all of us. So therefore, why would you want to leave Buxton when you're getting trained by the best? And you've obviously got that continuous open door policy that no matter how you're feeling, no matter what it is, no matter what's on your mind, you knock on the door and you come and have a chat. How much, I guess, your individual friendships within the Buxton group, is that what it is that keeps you guys here?
I find comfort in knowing that, people have my back. Like if I ever had to start a new fresh job, I think it would be business first and the money first, as opposed to looking within the group. That's a pretty cool thing. Even, you know what, you saying this, I'm like, yeah, far out. Like look at that. And that gives me probably mental comfort as well. Like, having the team around me at my office, but also the surrounding offices, that's pretty unique.
Obviously I came from another group and, prior to that it was like, your neighbouring office, it's like, it's independent. Like, go get the listing. Next thing you know, you're actually competing against that, same brand to get that listing, which wasn't right. There's times where there's a property in Bentleigh and I know he's on it, I'm on it. And it's just like, Hass, let's go get it. And next thing you know, we've got the listing together. So just having that, relationship between, the group is so strong.
Yeah, you look at like any sporting team that, winning sporting team, it's their culture that is so, that's the thing that wins those big events, premierships. And
like one thing that we do as well, it's not like BUXTON Oakleigh, BUXTON Bentleigh, we are Buxton. That's how we represent ourselves.
A couple of viewer questions that we had people send through, because I'm conscious of your times as well, so I can't thank you guys enough for coming on. A couple of viewer questions that have come through through Instagram. Question of both, and both of them are for all of you. Where do you both see real estate going in the next 5 to 10 years? Not from a pricing point of view.
Yep. Interesting question. Best way I can explain it to you or answer that is I see a shortage of stock, in my opinion. Developments are down.
Yep.
There's going to be less and less builds happening. So, and there's more, now that our borders are open up, there's more and more people that are coming. So obviously, where do we put all these people? So, I still see the market going to be strong, in my opinion.
Do you see rents skyrocketing?
Look, the rental market's out of control at the moment. So, look, that's probably one thing that I do a bit more in my office is work closer with the property management side of the team. And I think this time last year we had about 120 vacancies as opposed to now we've only got like 30. So, look, it is scary at times when it comes to that side of it, the affordability side when it comes to a property. But do I actually see it crashing? Particularly no. I've got, got a building surveyor, that I talk to quite regularly. He, and he's busy, so busy that at the moment he's down on work about 70%. So if there's no builds happening, I don't know. What do you reckon?
Population pressure, it's going to fly. Yeah. Just all positive.
So you see it continuing to go the way it needs to?
Yeah, we're such a young country and on a world stage, looking at all other countries, and COVID's a great way of comparing, like how did we handle it compared to other countries? Everyone wants to live here. They want to bring their kids up here. They want their elderly parents to be here.
Yep.
And it's unfortunately for us, or unfortunately, it's the wealthy people from other countries coming with a lot of money, and they want to live in the affluent suburbs where it's safe, where there's schools, where there's work. And that inner city living for a lot of us might be more of a luxury. So many people I know now move down the peninsula. They're moving out and commuting an hour to work. I had our parent-teacher interview for Pip last night, and the teacher comes from Lara, so it's an hour and a half drive to get to her school every day. So I think I've got a lot of confidence in it. Just buy and hold.
Yep. I love that. Agree or disagree with the ever-changing world we find ourselves in and expenses rising? You generally, as a person at the moment, need a second income stream to keep afloat.
No, don't live beyond your means. That's the answer. They're spending more than they earn. That's full stop. Everyone does that. You could be on $2 million a year and spending more than what you earn. You could be on, 70 grand a year living the dream. So I don't think it's about, your income or revenue streams. It's actually about your spending habits. And I see young kids these days with Rolexes and fancy bags. Man, I didn't have any of that stuff. Freaking,
I still don't have a Rolex. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So
I thought you guys would buy me one for my 30th.
Yeah, I got the one from Bali.
Yeah, I was going to say, I got the
Roldex. The Roldex one.
What do you mean, guys? Aren't you guys putting in?
So yeah, I think unfortunately with social media and everyone wanting to flex, that's the thing that people probably get sucked into.
That's so true. So true. And you would agree, Gigi?
Oh, absolutely. Like, if you don't need that Gucci bag, don't go and buy it.
It's so funny and it's genuine, right? Because everyone knows that I love going out for restaurants and dinner. And sometimes you're just like, man, do you have to go out again?
Yeah.
Like, and I love it because sometimes you need someone to tap you on the shoulder if you realize like, oh shit, like, yeah, okay, no, this guy's got a point.
Yeah, but you're not driving around a $250,000 car. So if you love that, do that. Yeah. You still do what you want to do, but don't buy things for other people's affirmation. That's the danger, wearing things to show off in front of someone that you don't even care about.
I love that.
You know what I mean? So
I actually love that.
Please yourself, don't please others.
Gold.
Best way.
Fascinated to know, growing up, finishing year 12, what did you both want to do?
I don't know.
I was a firefighter. I was ready to go. I was going to get my truck license and be a firefighter.
Yeah, I love that. Which is hard to get into now.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get into.
Yeah.
Oh, look, as a young kid, I used to love the movie Days of Thunder. I always wanted to be a, racing car driver.
Oh, I love that.
They're going to be the grid girl, Gigi.
Are you guys going to the Grand Prix?
Absolutely.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. You got a third ticket or?
Happy
to come?
I can give you a general admission.
I couldn't go last year because I had COVID. So, if you guys want to go, let me know and we'll organise it. Obviously, we've asked about the Humbledon 3. Now, one of the things that we do for all of our episodes is we ask the Humble 3. And this is where we it's a nice way to finish off and tie off. Question number 1. If you weren't in your current occupation as real estate, and take out the directors and everything, but if you weren't doing real estate, what would you both be doing?
Builder.
Mechanic.
That's awesome. I love these answers. Mechanic, I could see. Builder, you just look too pretty to be a builder.
Project manager.
There's no way.
Site supervisor.
Steel caps, chinos, and a polo. There's no way. Outside, question number 2. Which person outside of your family inspires you guys? Would there be one? And if there's not, that's cool because I feel like I know who you're going to say and I feel like I know who you're going to say. But would there be someone out there?
My grandma for me, she taught me everything. And I.
Nah, but if you can't,
sorry,
if you can't,
that's a hard question.
Yeah, that's.
No, but it's more if you can't, of course.
Look,
but Babs, I know that you were going to say for sure. Greg.
Yeah, that's her.
Babs is
everything I do for her.
She's a legend, and she's living here now.
Pardon, no. She's
she's living down.
No, New South Wales. Yep.
Nice.
She came down the other day. 94, taking a cruise ship down, took her out for lunch.
I saw you went to that. Is so
She's
cute.
the best.
I love it. Would you have anyone outside your family?
Well, look, for me, it's not just an individual. It's got to do with the team behind me.
Yeah.
We have got a big team. It's 50 plus staff, and obviously the support I get from them and the support they give me is, I wouldn't be where I am without them. And honestly, I'm not blowing up, winning up you or, the whole team. Just if we weren't together, if we didn't survive COVID, we wouldn't be where we are today.
This is an individual question for Gigi, and you probably don't know this one. How much is Ari Gold how much has Ari Gold from Entourage had an influence in your career? Because this guy has got photos of him in the office.
So obviously watching Entourage has, inspired me a little bit, and I obviously had my Lord at the time, so it was good. But just seeing that chase, I know it's all fictional and stuff. Like it is,
I get it.
There is a character based on Ari Gold, and it's just like
I'm going with Harvey Specter. I get it, man.
Correct, yeah. So
they don't look like him, but.
No, but Entourage did have a lot to do with how I, got up, went to work, got inspired. Believe it or not, so you can get inspired by podcasts like, Chris does. I get inspired by movies,
Yeah.
I love my movies.
It's funny. We had, the boys at Pulsate Gym in Murrabina next to Oasis, Jossie.
Yeah,
we had Jossie on the other day, right?
Yeah.
And I asked him this question and he goes, mate, hands down easy. And I'm like, oh, who's going to say? It's like Conor McGregor, UFC fighter.
Oh, yeah.
He's like 100%. He's like, I've never met the bloke, but he just fucking inspires me. And I'm like, awesome, man. Like everyone's got their own thing, which is why I love that question. The last one is if you could have a billboard, realistically, and you can put whatever you wanted to say on there, you could put on there, what would you say and why?
Be honest, don't lie.
Love it.
Thinking of selling, call.
That's a good one. I get that one.
Oh, man, that is awesome. That is awesome. I absolutely love it. Now, you'd probably put something like Babsy's number one.
Probably. Photo me and her.
100%.
I'd do that.
Bistro Galame. Is that right? Bistro Galame. Is that where you went?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Stalker.
I saw it on Instagram, man. So follow these boys on their channels, at Hassall on Instagram, at Peter Gigis Buxton Real Estate on Instagram, Facebook. Give them a call. From my end, they're the most inspiring guys that are closest to home. They've helped me so much with my own personal growth, with my family growth. They've helped me through situations that have been some of the hardest in my time, and they've just been amazing people as men that I can both call on. There's a funny photo which I'm going to send to Braden to make sure that he includes it, which is me of us three on a motorbike or a
scooter
actually.
Scooter. Was that on Beach?
In Mykonos, which I'm going to make sure that Brados includes for us. I don't even know how we got up that hill, but boys, I can't thank you boys enough for coming on. Thank you for being an amazing part of my journey and my and being able to actually do what I do. So I love you both, and I'm looking forward to obviously this one being released.
We love you too, mate.
Speak to you guys next week. Continue to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll bring you next week's guest.